Perfect. Welcome, welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us for session session four, I'm sorry, of the mini camp college virtual series. Today we're going to be discussing the benefits of a liberal arts college with the emphasis on the sciences. So I didn't know I could major in science at a liberal arts college. The next session, or session 5, will be called Affording It, and it's going to be touching on financial aid and scholarships and helping you secure the bag when it comes to actually getting into college. But as we start, I want to say that myself and my colleague, we love participation, whether that means in the form of you all being active in the chats. We don't have the liberty today of being able to actually see your faces and engage with you that way, but we do hope to kind of touch on these points of a science approach in liberal arts, or a liberal arts approach to the sciences, and then get some of your feedback, get some of your questions, and actually be able to dive into a deeper conversation from there. So without any further ado, liberal arts colleges take a comprehensive approach to humanities, STEM or STEAM, and social sciences by teaching the subject matter as well as equipping students with skills that are transferable after college. You're going to be joining myself and my colleague, Kenyatta Grimmage, from the College of Charleston, to learn why liberal arts colleges may be a great fit for you. And I'm going to let my colleague introduce himself and tell me he brings his background.
Good afternoon. My name is Kenyatta Grimmage, and I'm the Associate Director for Access here at the College of Charleston, and it gives me a great pleasure to be here at the SACAT mini camp this afternoon to talk to you guys about liberal arts.
Hey, perfect. And my name, once again, is Fred Quick, Jr. I'm an Associate Director for Admissions at the College of Charleston. I currently serve as the South Carolina co-chair for government relations. So as we go into today's discussion, we're going to discuss, first and foremost, what are liberal arts? And then we're going to talk about how those liberal arts skills are actually transferable. I know we said that they're transferable after work, but you'll also see how they are able to be utilized in your learning. And then more importantly, how we take a liberal arts approach to the STEAM field. So when we get started, looking at liberal arts, and I'll start here and let my colleague kind of enhance that, but the 3 core pieces of a liberal arts education are that they emphasize the ability to read critically, to write cogently, and to think broadly. When we talk about a liberal arts education, we talk about being able to write across the curriculum, actually bringing an understanding of not only humanities, but also of social sciences, understanding of history, and an understanding of people that you bring into any aspect of life that you go into. By exploring issues, ideas, and methods across the humanities and the arts and the natural and social sciences, you will learn to read critically, write cogently, and also, once again, think broadly. Mr. Grimmage?
Yeah, to re-emphasize that, a lot of the students on this call might have the question of what exactly is liberal arts, right? If you could think about it, you have a standard way of learning, and then you have a holistic approach to learning, right? Liberal arts is a multifaceted approach to learning when you're bringing in not just the subject matter, but also teaching you the life skills, the soft skills that will allow you to be successful within that subject. Some of those soft skills and those life skills, you will find out that, reading critically, writing cogently, and thinking broadly are areas that typically you wouldn't learn in a standard education. But with liberal arts, we encompass all of that.
Exactly. And so looking at the value of a liberal arts education. Now, I know there are a lot of words on the screen, so I'm going to give you time to actually ingest some of those. And as they kind of pop out to you, once again, you see thinking and education and different and knowledge. What I don't want you to get caught up in is the thought of liberal meaning that it falls into line with an agenda. What we really want to drive home is that liberal arts, and you probably already will know this, is actually getting a well-rounded learning experience while you're on your specific track. So when it comes to you being interested in, before we even get to the sciences, you being interested in psychology, or interested in sociology, interested in the arts, you have to have an understanding of the world that you plan to see or convey within your art. And so having that background of understanding of people, understanding of developing thought and skills, and actually bringing a varied perspective into this very specific field. So having the ability to communicate, to be able to think critically, to actually bring your personal perspective while also understanding the big picture, you're able to actually tie that in to any career and actually become flexible and also be adaptable to different environments. Often we'll say that our goal is to make you uncomfortable now so you'll thrive in those situations later. So being able to actually think your way out of a situation, to be able to actually understand what you're reading, understand what you plan to say in a very concise and specific way, and also being able to convey your arguments. So being able to take advantage of that will prepare you for this next step of liberal arts providing a vital foundation for both individual flourishing and the well-being of our society. Now, when we take that and actually looking at how we bring a liberal arts perspective into the science field, we must understand first what are STEM or what are STEAM majors or major degree paths. And so it's an approach to learning that uses science, technology, engineering, the arts, and mathematics as an access point for guiding students' inquiry, dialogue, and critical thinking, which sounds a lot like the definition of liberal arts. The only thing that changes here is that you're using science, research, technology, and engineering for your problem-solving solution. And so we want to be able to take the human approach to this very specific and calculated approach of STEM, and you're becoming a very high-valued candidate, applicant, pursuer of your dreams, just by being able to combine those two together. Mr. Grimmage?
All right, so to put it in a nutshell, what Fred is basically explaining is that, as a scientist, an engineer, astrophysics, whatever you plan to be, a business owner, in the field of business, think about those fields critically and start thinking about those fields. Really, when you go into those majors, they don't really teach you soft skills like being personable, being a team player, being able to build relationships, have a conversation with people. So when you add the science, technology, engineering, math fields, and business with the liberal arts, you're getting a holistic approach to learning, right? You're being more effective in those fields. Your ability to be effective in those fields are basically your ability to be able to encompass skills such as, team building, such as being able to communicate with your team players. Just going into those fields, you don't learn that. You learn, obviously the skills that you would need to be a great scientist, the skills that you would need to be be in business or technology. But oftentimes those skills that you learn on a general level kind of promote you to be more of a, as opposed to being, to keep things more internal and learning on your own. Liberal arts teaches you to be a team player, to be able to communicate with people, to have those soft skills of compassion and caring for one another. Those areas are often not taught in the fields that students are typically aiming at going into, such as the science, technology, the engineering, and math field. When you add those particular fields and then you add the liberal arts with them, you're holistically prepared to be successful when you get out into the real world. And then over a third of Fortune 500 company CEOs have a liberal arts degree. Think about it. In order for you to be an effective leader, you have to have those liberal arts, those soft skills, right? So this quote right here kind of makes sense. That not only am I a business guy and I'm the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, the reason why I'm successful in being a CEO of a Fortune 500 company is because I have that liberal arts background, right? Because I learned that communication is paramount in business, right? Being able to communicate, being able to understand the people that I'm working with, being able to effectively delegate, and deal with people, right? These are are the skills that will allow you to become that CEO of a Fortune 500 company and be successful in that field. So this quote kind of really makes sense.
Perfect. And then just to drive that home a little bit more, we could take a look at Amazon. Amazon, as you all know, started as a book selling company that then divulged into e-commerce and then went into cloud computing, digital streaming, information technology, somehow sponsoring a trip to space. They have taken on many hats and many approaches. And with it being a very tech engineering and systems driven app company initiative, what they still do is actually a very liberal arts driven approach. The Amazon way, when it's time to propose a new idea or to present a goal strategy, instead of them having brainstorming meetings where they propose a 20-page presentation, which ironically we're doing a presentation to talk to you about how they don't do presentations. They utilize a system of using a 6-page narrative memo. And what this narrative does is actually lays out, and here's the blueprint to the right, they lay out the purpose. So the purpose of the narrative, the purpose of this new idea or this new initiative, this new goal. And the idea of doing this is that anyone within the company can read this 6-page narrative and have an idea of what the plans are and how they can actually contribute their way into it. And so in reducing it to 6 pages, it means that if I get in front of you and I talk to you about it, I can fill it with empty words. I can fill it with this and jargon and that, but actually sitting down and penning my thoughts out in a very concise way means that I one know that I've researched it and I know what I'm talking about, and I can present it to you in a simple way for you to actually be able to understand it as well. So first you must present your purpose, then you submit the background. So all the information, your research on why this is effective, why this will be beneficial, why this will help, and then also projections of what you plan to do. And then next, what you plan to do and how do you plan to go about it. And so that's really going to be the meat of it, and then going into your conclusion. So this is something that Jeff Bezos actually proposed years ago, who was the executive of Amazon. And it's for that very reason of people being able to just present anything and make up their own research. But when you're actually able to write it and actually able to actually pin your thoughts together to actually say exactly what you're looking for, it shows, one, that you know what you're talking about, and two, you've invested in actually seeing this through. And so in doing that, being in a field where you're discussing all of these grand ideas, or you're actually looking to provide your own blueprints, provide your own structures, actually designing an engine or seeing something come to fruition, still knowing how to write is crucial. Knowing how to read to retain the information, learning how to actually critically understand the information is crucial to you to be able to be successful in your field. As Mr. Grimmage said, it's about having those soft skills, having the ability to actually know and understand beyond what the words are saying as well, and understand the impact and the reach of what you plan to do. And so far too often when we talk to students about saying, oh, well, I want to go into the medical field, or I'm going to be a pre-med student, they think that it's a one-way path of I'm taking all science classes. So what we wanted to include was actually a look at a couple of prerequisites for a few different programs. First, we have Emory University, a well-known university for medicine. To get into their PA program, there's a minimum of 23 semester credits. At most colleges, you have over 120 credits that you need to graduate. And so when you think about it from the perspective of I need my lab sciences and I need my math and my STEM related courses, that makes up a portion of your coursework, which sometimes requires memorization, which sometimes requires research. But in addition to that, having that liberal arts background fills up that space with also understanding the requirements that go into what you plan to do within medicine. So to go into PA school, obviously you need your biologists. Obviously you need your chemistry, you need human anatomy and physiology. You're gonna need organic chem and biochem, and then some other courses that may come in handy that aren't necessarily recommended, but that aren't required, but they're recommended. But in addition to that, having that liberal arts background means that in your biology class, there's going to be a paper rather than just researching and bubbling in the right answer. I don't know how many doctors are able to actually see their patients and just take a quiz, and that's going to be the solution for their patients. It's most important that you're actually able to engage with your patients, think critically in each engagement that you have with them to actually understand what is going on. It requires a lot of reading and researching what goes into medicine to actually understand it. So that liberal arts background prepares you for it because it puts that emphasis on, once again, reading deeper than what's just listed in the text. Next, we have the University of Florida's dentistry program, which kind of ties into the same thing of, obviously you have your biologies and your chemistry requirements and your general science requirements, but also you see English there. Like they put an emphasis on, in a dentistry program, that you have your English requirements completed. And it's because, once again, language is important. Before you actually see what's wrong with the person, you talk to a person. So having a background in language, having a background in understanding the people around you is important. I actually have a friend, and I love sharing this story. She double majored in secondary education and mathematics at a liberal arts college to go into dentistry. And her reason was that the majority of her patients were going to be middle school and high school age students. And if math is one of the toughest subjects for them to be able to grasp, and she can make that an easy, fun, and engaging in-class experience for them, that means that she can take this process of, oh, you're wearing braces now, your oral health is important, taking these complex things and breaking it down into an easy, engaging, and actually interesting process for those students as well. So learning how to engage better with your population means that having a liberal arts background gives you the foundation in the sciences that you need from STEM to be able to problem solve, but also that foundation in understanding the people as well. So what's most important is that physicians should be personable, great listeners, and empathetic to the concerns of their patients. Going back to the idea of soft skills, that's not listed on med school or engineering program websites or on the application. It's not listed, but in the interview process, that's what's going to be something that stands out, that's highlighted. It's not something that's going to be written down on paper that we want you to be a good listener. They want you to have your foundational pieces of credits and understanding of anatomy and have that foundational piece. But more importantly, you need to know how to empathize, how to relate, how to actually help patients open up to you, because it's always a nervous environment. It's always a scared environment. I don't know how many people are excited to go to the hospital or excited to go to the doctor. So being able to relate and make them feel at peace with what you're discussing with them and actually help them understand these complicated processes as well is clear and important. Now, next we have engineering, which Mr. Grimmage actually brought up some very, very important points to me as we kind of discuss this.
Yeah. So before we go into engineer, I do want to piggyback off some points that my colleague Mr. Quick made, as far as the skills that you're provided in liberal arts that are not mentioned, right? Well, or extremely priceless when it comes to being successful in your particular field. For instance, we often we have a medical. If any of you guys know where the College of Charleston is located on this call, it's 5 minutes down the road from the Medical University of South Carolina. And we always collab to take students down there to, we send a ton of students to med school at the Medical University of South Carolina as well. And in conversations with their admissions departments, their particular programs at MUSC, we always ask the question, what are you looking for in a student? What are you looking for in a great applicant, right? And oftentimes, these representatives tell us over and over again, we're not necessarily looking for students who major in medicine, students who are majoring in biology or science. We're looking for students who may have go into a field because they understand that once you get into medical school, you will learn all of the, you would take all the science courses. Those are necessary. You have to take those. But if I have a student who majored in English or communications, that tells me a little bit more about that student and the approach that they are taking to go to med school. Because like Fred said, we don't want a doctor who don't talk to us, right? I don't want a doctor. I don't want to be, have a terminal ill disease. And the doctor coming in speaking medical jargon, right? I want somebody who's going to come in and be compassionate, let me know in layman's term what's going on so that I can better prepare for what's to come. So being able to communicate with my patients is critical as a doctor. And then if we go into engineering, which the next slide is, we talk about engineering. Engineering is a field that kind of promotes you being, working individually, being someone who is not necessarily. Most of the engineers I know are very. They're smart individuals, but when you talk about having those soft skills, a lot of them lack those, right? So it makes sense for someone who wants to go into engineering to go the liberal arts route if they want to be successful in their field, right? Because when you think about it, these fields, because they promote you to work individually, when it comes to working as a group and getting a project or getting a goal accomplished, you would need those liberal arts skills to be able to do that. Being able to, and we keep reiterating the communication piece and also writing across the curriculum. That's one of the other things that he talked about. A lot of the students on this call might have heard that around their high school, tossed around their high school, being able to write across the curriculum. And the reason why your high school is promoting that is because they understand that once you get in college, it'll be promoted, and then once you get out into the real world, you will need that. Basically, what Fred described is going on at Amazon is basically started from the foundation of writing across the curriculum. Your ability, no matter what your major is, to being able to write. That's why when he spoke about some of the medical programs, he said in biology you might have to write a paper. When you think about biology, you don't think about, you're thinking about dissecting animals and, doing experiments. You're not thinking about, I got to write a paper to really explain what I'm doing, right? So that writing piece, that communicating piece are things that typical engineering and math and science programs, they lack those things, right? So it makes sense for students who want to go into those fields to have that liberal arts background because they will be successful in that particular field, being able to have those soft skills. So engineering is no different from the medical field or business where, a liberal arts degree will definitely help you be way more effective in those particular fields. So just to go off our slide, if you look at the branches of science, technology, building design, engineering, designing engines, machine structures, and specific problem-solving skills are necessary. And your ability to use those problem-solving skills will be developed by attending a liberal arts college. If we want to look at our system engineering, I think that's our systems engineering program, right? So the system engineer, if no one knows what system engineers do, system engineers manage, right? You have your electrical, if you have a project, you have an electrical engineer, you have your mechanical engineer, you have your your engineers that are assigned to complete a certain task within that project. Well, you need a manager to come in and help them come together because like we said before, engineering is one of those individualized career fields where you'll do your work, you get your work done, and everybody else is left on their own to kind of figure it out, right? You don't build those particular relationships that you would need. You just want to do your part of that puzzle so that the end result will come to fruition, right? Well, the system engineer comes in and they take that electrical engineer, they take that mechanical engineer, and they say, hey, let's come together. That's that relationship piece that you build during in a liberal arts education. That's the communication piece that you will develop within the liberal arts education. It allows that system engineer to come in and help build in certain things like the implementation of the program, development, the analyzation, the planning. Without that person in the liberal arts background that person brings to the table, a lot of these projects weren't getting done. So system engineering is one of our newest majors at the College of Charleston, been around for 2 years now, going on 3 years, I believe. And it really brings home the idea of that liberal arts background, right? The ability for that person, that manager to come in who has the liberal arts background to kind of implement it within that system to get a goal accomplished. Help engineers come together, help them develop those communication skills, being able to talk with another, collaborate with another to get that project done in the end.
And I know this whole time we've been saying over and over, soft skills are important. Soft skills are what you're going to pick up. And so before we go into a portion where we can actually discuss together, we really want to drive home what soft skills actually are and how you gain them from a liberal arts program, or just how you gain them from college as well, or what college should be from the foundation of liberal arts. It's understanding time management, understanding how to prioritize your tasks and what needs to be done when. These are skills that are going to be necessary. Once again, going into systems engineering, time management means being timely about task completion and how you get to the next step through understanding how valuable time actually is. And then also having that creative thinking, being able to think outside of the box, being able to think outside of the, not even just the logical explanation, but looking beyond what is right in front of you. Actually being able to focus on the tree within the forest, but also to be able to sing out, look past the forest and actually spot the tree. So being able to actually think and utilize your thought that way, being able to network, taking advantage of the resources that are around you, understanding the importance of collaboration and actually understanding the usage and value of those around you through the form of teamwork, understanding that your network becomes your team and your team works together for not only conflict resolution, but also for task completion, and being able to actually resolve your conflict, resolve your problems through talking it out, being able to actually use your words, being able to be empathetic and understanding their perspective of why they're bringing their argument to the table. And in you being able to actually communicate this out, being able to have an understanding of why it's happening, what the solution may be, and what the outcome of that solution may be. Soft skills help you navigate any workforce issue, any personal issue as well, and just being able to take advantage of that. Mr. Grimmage?
Yeah, so to piggyback off what Fred was saying about soft skills are vital to you being successful in any profession, you know. And if we will go back to systems engineering, that manager is responsible for implementing those soft skills, right? He teaches engineers how to be team players. He teaches engineers that their network is their net worth, right? In order for us to get to our goal, which is our net worth, the final product, we have to have a strong network working together. We have to have time management. We got to be able to think critically together, right? And we have to be able to solve our conflicts. Imagine that, you know, you're an engineer and you're working on a project. You have a conflict, but you don't have the skills to be able to communicate. People don't look at you as a great communicator, right? You'll never get that conflict resolved. So that system engineer comes in and makes sure that these soft skills are implemented throughout the whole entire process, the whole from start to finish, from a product's start to finish. So these skills are absolutely vital for you to be not successful, not just in engineering, but in any field you go into. You can use, you know, education, business, engineering. For you to be able to be the best doctor, you have to be able to, you know, work as a team. And, you know, there are many members on your team as a doctor, right? You have to have those soft skills so that each member feels valued in that situation, in that particular project, and in the outcome of your patient's situation. You have to make sure that not only is the nurses or yourself or you're feeling, you know, feeling a part of this whole process, but every member has to feel like they're a part of a team. So these skills are very vital in any profession that you go into.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, with that being said, we're going to open the floor to you all. If you have any questions or anything you want to add in the discussion, we are so glad to have you in the room with us.
Please ask questions. Put them in the chat.
Put those questions in the chat. We'll give you a couple minutes here to be able to ask those. One thing I always hate is when you go into a presentation or you go into a session, and the second you log off, that question comes to mind. The second you leave, now you have to look up the presenters and say, oh, no, I really want to know this, or I really want to know that. So there's no question too big or too small. Feel free to drop those in the chat, and we would love to hear your input or hear your thoughts, whether those are students in the room, counselors, CBO members, anything, any input you have is valuable.
Yeah, so while we're waiting on your questions, I do want to say that, one of the negative connotations about a liberal arts degree is that degree is useless, right? Which both myself and Fred can attest to you that they are not. If it wasn't for those soft skills, I have a degree in English. I'm a business owner. I work for the College of Charleston, which I use that, that background in English to effectively communicate to not only you guys, but my students on campus and my faculty and staff members. It allows me to build relationships. And then in the business world, which definitely you have to be a great communicator, and your success depends on your ability to communicate and bring people together and, be apathetic and, sympathetic to people's situations and what they're going through, because people invest and people support and bring their money to people who they like, right? Right. I'm not gonna bring my money to you and spend money with you if I don't like you. So that goes to show that those liberal arts and those soft skills are very necessary in whatever field you go into. Yeah.
That is a fact. That is fact. And you don't recognize the impact of it until you really get into, like you said, you actually get into those fields. Until you get into those fields, a common joke is that people take their liberal arts degrees and go and work at a coffee shop, or they, but no, it is 100% transferable. Prior to this meeting, I actually reached out to some of my colleagues who are in the medical field, and their biggest thing was they had classmates who were in dance, who were dance majors, who were art majors, and they related to their patients by actually dancing with them. And when you think about occupational therapy or physical therapy, actually getting the body moving and finding engaging ways to do it. And a question that we have is, will liberal arts add 4 more years to my degree if I major in liberal arts? And that's actually a question we get really often. Or will it add time to my 4-year degree? And the short answer is no. When it comes to having a liberal arts curriculum in general, it is actually structured for you to be successful. It is structured for you to actually have it divvied out of how many humanity courses you're going to take, your actual major courses, which also means that you're going to have advising along the way as well. At a lot of institutions, ours included, we start you with general academic advising. So you'll have advisors who help you navigate the general course of study. So all of your history courses and sciences. And what you find is in liberal arts, interdisciplinary study is huge. So it's not only writing across the curriculum, but actually courses across the curriculum. So a lot of the courses you take will meet the requirements for your major, it meets the requirements for your minor, and it's still in line with your degree path. So you're not going to add additional time. We've had quite a few students who actually are able to graduate early because of how this is structured. You're knocking out your general education requirements along with your major requirements and even a minor that you pick up as well. So no,
Other question, that was a great one.
For sure, for sure. But to be mindful of everyone's time and mindful for you all that are viewing on YouTube after this is already posted. Um, we actually want to say, and Mr. Grimmage, I hope you're in agreement with this. Thank you for
Oh yeah,
joining us.
thank you.
Thank you for actually tuning in and getting information on the liberal arts approach. Thank you to SACAC as well for actually extending these programs. I know this is something we started for the summer, but it's something that we'll be continuing this fall and in the spring as well. Like I said, the next session will be session 5 on securing the bag or affording it. Actually having those more important conversations of, well, I found this place that I love, but how do I pay for it and how do I get there? And I know the parents are going to want to know all of these tips, tricks, and information. So make sure you tune in for session 5 as well. But with that, my name is Fred Quick, Mr. Grimmage.
Grimmage. Thank you guys so much.